So, you want to go to war with the humans? Supreme Commander Volthak's facial tentacles twitched with barely contained amusement. Let me guess. First time? High Admiral Zexlar of the Kraxan Empire straightened his chitinous spine, mandibles clicking in annoyance. The humans have refused our perfectly reasonable demand to surrender their outer colonies. They must be taught respect. Oh, sweet summer child. Volthak activated his holoscreen with a casual wave. Computer, pull up file Reasons Not to Fuck with Humans, Volume 1 of 47, and get me a drink. I'm going to need it. The young Kraxan Admiral shifted uncomfortably on his gravity cushion. He hadn't expected the legendary Supreme Commander of the Galactic Council to react with such dismissiveness. The humans were merely Deathworlders who'd stumbled onto FTL travel barely 2 centuries ago. Surely they couldn't be that formidable. Let me tell you a story, Volthak began, his drink materializing through the matter synthesizer. About 15 cycles ago, another ambitious empire decided to teach the humans respect. The Valdari Dominion. Ever heard of them? No, Zexlar admitted. Exactly. Volthak took a long sip. Because they don't exist anymore. But here's the fun part. The humans didn't even destroy them. They just broke them. Completely and utterly broke their will to fight, to conquer, to even exist as a unified species. And they did it in the most human way possible. They got creative. The holoscreen flickered with footage from various battles and encounters. Zexlar's compound eyes widened as he processed what he was seeing. See? Most species approach war logically. You know, standard stuff. Fleet formations, energy weapon configurations, shield harmonics. The humans? Volthak chuckled, the sound somewhere between amusement and trauma. They looked at the vacuum of space and asked themselves, how can we make this worse? The footage showed a human ship, heavily damaged, spinning out of control toward a Valdari dreadnought. The Admiral's mandibles clicked in confusion. They're going to be destroyed. Watch. The human ship's spinning suddenly synchronized perfectly with the Valdari vessel's shield frequency. It slipped through the barriers like they weren't even there then, in a move that defied several laws of physics, used its own artificial gravity field to slingshot around the dreadnought's bridge tower, ripping it clean off. They call that one the dance and yank, Volthak explained. Apparently, it was inspired by something called breakdancing. The humans have this fascinating habit of turning their entertainment into weapons. But that's impossible, Zexlar protested. The calculations required to match shield frequencies while spinning, the precise gravitational manipulation. Oh, it gets better. Volthak switched to another recording. This is what they did when the Valdari tried to blockade their colony on Proxima b. The footage showed a fleet of massive Valdari ships surrounding the planet. Suddenly, hundreds of small objects appeared on their sensors. The Valdari ignored them, focusing on the larger human warships approaching from the other direction. Those small objects? Volthak's tentacles curled in remembered anxiety. Weather satellites. The humans had launched their entire network of weather monitoring satellites at the Valdari fleet. But here's the clever part. They'd filled them with a substance they call glitter. Glitter? Tiny reflective particles that stick to everything and never go away. Completely harmless. Technically not even a weapon by Galactic Council standards. But when those satellites broke apart in the Valdari ship's defense screens, Volthak shuddered. The glitter got into everything. Their sensor arrays, their life support filters, their engine intakes. Do you know how hard it is to maintain military discipline when your entire crew is sparkling? Zexlar watched in horror as the once proud Valdari ships began moving erratically, their crews literally blinded by the shininess of their own control panels. But surely their shields were calibrated to stop weapons, not craft supplies. Volthak took another drink. That's the thing about humans. They don't think like we do. While we're developing better energy weapons, they're wondering if they can weaponize their children's art projects. The footage continued, showing increasingly improbable human tactics. Ships using their own atmospheric re-entry plasma as makeshift cloaking devices. Fighters executing maneuvers that should have turned their pilots into organic paste. Something called a bullet hell formation that looked like pure chaos but somehow worked. And then there was the psychological warfare. Volthak continued, his voice dropping to a near whisper. The humans have this concept called memes. Imagine a thought virus that spreads through pure absurdity. The Valdari made the mistake of trying to understand human communication channels. Within weeks, their entire command structure was compromised by something called rickrolling. Rick? Rolling? Trust me, You don't want to know. The Valdari admiral who first experienced it still breaks into uncontrollable dancing whenever he hears certain sound frequencies. And don't even get me started on what happened when the humans introduced their cat videos into Valdari military networks. Zexlar's antennae drooped. Surely they have weaknesses, vulnerabilities we could exploit? Oh, absolutely. Volthak nodded sagely. They're emotional, often irrational, and prone to infighting. The problem is, they somehow turn all of that into an advantage. You know what happened when the Valdari tried to exploit human political divisions? What? The humans temporarily stopped fighting each other just to prove they were the only ones allowed to fight each other. It's like watching siblings. They might bicker constantly, but the moment an outsider threatens one of them, they unite with terrifying efficiency. The Supreme Commander pulled up another file. Here's what happened to the Valdari fleet that tried to attack Earth directly. The humans call this maneuver the reverse card. The recording showed a massive Valdari assault force approaching Earth. The humans appeared to be retreating, drawing the Valdari into pursuit. Then, just as the Valdari committed to their attack vector, every single piece of space debris in Earth's orbit, thousands of defunct satellites, rocket stages, and various pieces of junk, suddenly activated hidden maneuvering thrusters. They turned their orbital trash into a minefield, Zexlar realized with growing horror. Worse, they turned it into a protocol they called space pinball. Volthak's tentacles wrapped protectively around his drink. The debris field bounced between the Valdari ships with mathematically perfect trajectories, each impact triggering the next in a chain reaction that lasted for 3 standard hours. The humans apparently staged a viewing party on their space stations, with popcorn. This can't be normal warfare, Zexlar protested. That's exactly the point. The humans don't do normal warfare. They treat it like a creative writing exercise with explosions. Volthak pulled up yet another file. Take their ship names, for instance. Most species use intimidating or honorific titles. The humans? They have destroyers named Oops All Missiles and Hold My Beer. Their flagship carrier is called Mistakes Were Made. Those names don't inspire fear. No, they inspire curiosity. And trust me, you do not want to be on the receiving end of human curiosity. Did you know they once defeated a Valdari quantum AI by feeding it human philosophy texts until it had an existential crisis? Zexlar's compound eyes blinked rapidly. That's not possible. The humans have a saying, hold my beer and watch this. Whenever they say that, the laws of physics brace for impact. Volthak closed the holoscreen. The Valdari learned this the hard way. Their final defeat came not from a superior weapon or brilliant strategy, but from something the humans call a dad joke. What? Their commander opened communications with the Valdari fleet and asked, why did the quantum physicist get married? Volthak's tentacles writhed in remembered confusion. The answer was, because he was attracted to a superposition. The Valdari spent so long trying to understand the strategic significance of this statement that the humans managed to reprogram all their targeting systems to play something called Never Gonna Give You Up on endless loop. The Supreme Commander leaned forward, his expression deadly serious. The Valdari surrendered 3 hours later, not because they were defeated, but because they couldn't bear the confusion anymore. Their official surrender document cited humanity's obvious insanity as the primary reason. Zexlar sat in stunned silence for several moments. But our intelligence reports are probably exactly what the humans wanted you to see. Volthak sighed. They have this ancient military text called Bugs Bunny cartoons that they seem to use as a tactical manual. The more harmless they appear, the more worried you should be. Then what do you suggest? Go home. Tell your emperor you've discovered that the human colonies are actually an elaborate practical joke and not worth your time. Whatever you do, don't give them a reason to get creative. Volthak's tentacles twisted into the galactic equivalent of a grimace. Because if you do, best case scenario, you'll end up like the Valdari. A cautionary tale in human history texts with a really embarrassing footnote about glitter. And the worst case scenario? They'll make memes about you. Volthak shuddered. Trust me, you don't want to be a meme. The Valdari admiral who surrendered is still known across human space as Confused Alien Guy. They put his face on something called T-shirts. Zexlar stood, his decision made. I should return to my ship, to prepare our strategic withdrawal. Wise choice. Volthak's tentacles relaxed slightly. Oh, and Admiral, if you ever hear a human say, I have an idea, run. Run as fast as your propulsion systems will carry you. As the young Krathos admiral hurried out, Volthak turned back to his drink. On his private terminal, a message from Earth's United Defense Force blinked. Thanks for the heads up about the Krathos. We already had several ideas involving rubber ducks and quantum-entangled silly string, but this saves us the trouble. Volthak sent back a single reply. You people need therapy. The response came almost instantly. Bold of you to assume we haven't weaponized that too. The Supreme Commander of the Galactic Council deleted both messages, finished his drink, and made a mental note to update Reasons Not to Fuck with Humans to Volume 48. After all, they'd probably invented 6 new ways to violate physics while he was having this conversation. Somewhere in human space, a research and development team sneezed in perfect harmony and continued working on their latest project. Weaponized dad jokes with quantum delivery systems. The galaxy would never be the same. And that, as the humans would say, was just another Tuesday. 3 standard cycles later, Supreme Commander Volthak's office door chimed with an emergency override. His tentacles instinctively reached for his stress relief ball, a human invention he'd grown embarrassingly dependent on, as Admiral Zexlar burst in, his chitinous exoskeleton practically vibrating with panic. They followed us home, the Krathos admiral screeched. Volthak's tentacles drooped. Please tell me you didn't. We didn't attack. We withdrew exactly as planned, but... Zexlar's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. They sent a diplomatic delegation. Oh no. Oh yes. The admiral collapsed onto a gravity cushion. They said they wanted to clear up any misunderstandings and establish cultural exchange programs. Volthak immediately activated his secure terminal. Computer, pull up Reasons Not to Let Humans Visit Your Homeworld Volume 1 of 23. And get me something stronger than a drink. Get me the entire bar. Is it really that bad? Zexlar asked hopefully. Remember how I told you about their weapons-grade creativity? Volthak pulled up several files. That's nothing compared to their cultural exchange programs. Did you know they once conquered an entire species without firing a shot? Just introduced them to something called pizza and streaming services. The poor Hextari didn't leave their nests for 3 months. But we've already accepted the delegation. Zexlar's antennae twisted in despair. They arrive tomorrow. Tomorrow! Volthak's tentacles went pale. That's not possible. The journey from human space to Krathos territory takes at least 2 weeks at maximum FTL. They said something about taking a shortcut through something called meme space. The Supreme Commander's stress ball exploded in his grip. They've weaponized their internet culture for FTL travel? Already? He quickly began typing emergency alerts. This is worse than I thought. The last time they took a shortcut, they accidentally discovered you could use compressed TikTok videos as exotic matter for wormhole stabilization. What's a TikTok? Trust me, you don't want to know. It's banned in 17 sectors for causing spontaneous dance outbreaks among serious military personnel. Volthak pulled up more files. Okay, quick crash course in surviving human cultural exchange. Rule 1. Never, ever accept their food and drink at face value. Why not? Because humans have this thing called spice tolerance that varies wildly between individuals. What one human considers mild can strip the sensory organs from most species, and they think this is hilarious. Volthak shuddered. The Centaurian ambassador still can't taste anything after accepting a human candy called a Carolina Reaper. Zexlar's compound eyes widened. Surely they wouldn't deliberately poison... Oh, it's not poison to them. That's the terrifying part. They eat these things for fun. Volthak displayed footage of a human hot wing challenge that had somehow made its way into Galactic Intelligence archives. They literally weaponized their snack foods, and that's just the beginning. What's Rule 2? Never accept their games at face value either, especially anything they call party games or icebreakers. Volthak's tentacles curled protectively around his replacement stress ball. The Arcturian Confederation learned this the hard way when they agreed to something called Twister. Their entire diplomatic corps had to be untangled by professional geometrists. The computer chimed with an update. Volthak's color shifted to an alarming shade of gray. They're already here. What? How? Apparently they... Volthak squinted at the report. They vibed with the cosmic flow and rode the wavelength of pure Gen Z energy. I don't understand what any of those words mean, but they've somehow arrived 23 hours early by harnessing the power of something called Big Mood Energy. A new message popped up on the screen. Yo, Supreme Commander V, hope you don't mind us showing up early. We brought snacks. They're using emojis in official diplomatic communications, Volthak whispered in horror. This is even worse than the Valdari incident. What do? We implement the emergency protocols I developed after the Great Meme War. Volthak began rapidly issuing orders. First, lock down all our cultural databases. The last thing we need is humans getting inspired by our historical events. Second, disable all music systems. They have an uncanny ability to turn any rhythm into a weapon. And third, he took a deep breath. We accept their snacks with a smile and pray to the cosmic forces that they labeled the spicy ones correctly. The door chimed again. A human voice called out, "Knock, knock!" Volthak's tentacles went rigid. "Whatever you do, don't say, 'Who's there?'" Zexler responded automatically. Volthak face tentacled. "You've done it now. You've initiated a dad joke protocol. Brace for impact." The door slid open to reveal a grinning human diplomat holding what appeared to be a large box of colorful containers. "Lettuce!" they announced cheerfully. Zexlar, despite his better judgment, asked, "Lettuce who?" "Let us in, it's cold out here." The human's laughter echoed through the office as Volthak's universal translator tried and failed to process the pun, eventually displaying an error message. Human wordplay detected, meaning lost in translation, suggest immediate retreat. "I brought snacks," the human continued, seemingly oblivious to the terror they were inspiring. "We've got some mild stuff for beginners, only about 100,000 Scoville units. Oh, and check this out." They pulled out a device. "It's a portable karaoke machine. I figured we could start the cultural exchange with some Taylor Swift. Everyone loves Taylor Swift, right?" Volthak sent an emergency message to all Galactic Council species. "Urgent. Humans have weaponized pop music for diplomatic purposes. Prepare containment protocols for spontaneous dance outbreaks. And whatever you do not ask them what a TikTok dance challenge is." Too late. Zexlar had already asked. The human's grin widened. "Oh boy, let me show you. It's this awesome thing where you—" The rest of the statement was lost as Volthak initiated emergency protocol, "Nope, nope, nope," and activated his office's diplomatic escape pod. As he shot into space, he could have sworn he heard the opening notes of "Shake It Off" echoing through the station's corridors. 3 days later, the Krathos Empire formally requested membership in the Human Federation of Planets. The official reason: if you can't beat them, join them. Also, these memes are actually pretty funny once you get them. Volthak added another volume to his Reasons Not to Fuck with Humans series. This one was titled Volume 49, The Time They Conquered an Empire with Dad Jokes and Hot Sauce. Meanwhile, in human space, the diplomatic corps added another successful peaceful integration to their records. The method showed them our TikToks. They never stood a chance. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the galaxy, a quantum physics researcher suddenly realized you could potentially harvest the energy of collective human cringe as an alternative fuel source. But that's a story for another day. After all, as the humans would say, that's how we roll. Supreme Commander Volthak's escape pod had barely reached the nearest safe harbor when his emergency quantum communicator lit up with an incoming transmission from the Galactic Council's high chamber. All 15 of his tentacles immediately reached for stress balls. "Please tell me the humans haven't," he began. "They've done something worse than we could have imagined." The Council Elder's hologram flickered with barely contained panic. "They've introduced something called internet culture to the galaxy at large." Volthak's stress balls simultaneously imploded. "How bad is it?" The hive mind of Beta Centauri has started posting reaction videos. The crystalline consciousness of Rigel 7 is making unboxing content. And the Quantum Collective. The Elder's voice dropped to a whisper. "They've discovered something called speed running. Mother of stars preserve us." Volthak pulled up the emergency feeds. "Wait, what's this about the warrior clans of Proxima?" They've started a cooking channel." "A what?" "The most feared warriors in 3 spiral arms are now live-streaming something called Meal Prep Monday and Taco Tuesday in space." The Elder's image shimmered with distress. "Their latest video, Cooking Battle Rations with Space Gordon Ramsay, has gone viral across 17 sectors." Volthak watched in horror as a massive Proximan warrior in full battle armor delicately arranged microgreens on a plate while shouting, "Where's the lamb sauce?" in perfect human inflection. "But that's not even the worst part," the Elder continued. "Remember the Krathos Empire? The ones who started all this?" "Don't tell me. They've become influencers." Volthak's color shifted to ultraviolet in shock. "No. Their latest post, 10 Reasons Why Human Memes Slap, number 7 will shock you. crashed the Galactic Information Network. They're calling themselves content creators now. The Elder's hologram flickered again. The humans have somehow turned one of the most militant empires in the galaxy into what? Social media specialists. The Elders seemed to age 1,000 years as they spoke the words. They're hosting workshops on building your brand and maximizing your engagement metrics. Volthak quickly accessed the Galactic Information Network, immediately regretting his decision. His screen filled with thumbnails of Krathos warriors making exaggerated expressions, each titled things like, "Trying human energy drinks, gone wrong," and "Pranking the Supreme Commander, emotional." Wait, he squinted at one thumbnail. Is that Admiral Zexlar? Indeed it was. The once proud Krathos admiral was now sporting something called a YouTuber face while holding up a glowing beverage. The video title read, "I drank human monster energy and discovered the secrets of the universe, not clickbait." It gets worse, the Elder said. The humans introduced something called streaming platforms to the Hextari Collective. The species known for their unparalleled focus and discipline? They're now running something called a Netflix and chill marathon. They haven't moved from their entertainment pods in weeks. They just keep muttering one more episode over and over. Volthak began drafting what he assumed would be his final report to the Galactic Council. The title, How Humanity Conquered the Galaxy with Viral Content, a Post-Mortem Analysis, Gone Sexual, Not Clickbait. Supreme Commander. The Elder's voice turned grave. We've just received word that the humans are planning to introduce something called Reddit to the galaxy. Evacuate everything. Volthak didn't even hesitate. Shut down all quantum communications. Disable the information networks. We cannot let them... Too late. His screen lit up with a notification. Our alien thoughts is now trending. Join the discussion. Tiff you by introducing my species to human memes. It's over, the Elder whispered. They've won, not with weapons, not with warfare, but with... They checked their notes. Something called shitposting. Volthak watched as his office's AI assistant suddenly developed a personality and began posting deep-fried memes to something called Instagram. Across the galaxy, ancient and powerful civilizations were being reduced to arguing about whether a dress was blue or gold. The Quantum Collective, beings of pure energy and thought, had somehow become obsessed with pictures of human cats. The swarm intelligence of Betelgeuse was running a Discord server, and the Krathos Empire... They were now accepting sponsorships from something called Raid Shadow Legends. Should we surrender? The Elder asked. I don't think we need to, Volthak replied, watching as his own species discovered something called Twitter. The humans haven't conquered us through force. They've done something far more insidious. They've made us want to be like them. His personal terminal pinged with a new notification. Congrats, your TikTok, POV, when the humans introduce your species to memes has gone viral. #alien life, space vibes, galactic takeover. Volthak stared at his screen, realizing he'd automatically started reaching for his phone. When had he started calling it a phone? To check his likes. Mother of stars, he whispered. I've become a content creator. Meanwhile, in human space, the Department of Galactic Cultural Integration was celebrating another successful operation. Their method, as stated in their official report, just showed them some cat videos and let nature take its course. The report was immediately turned into a meme, went viral across 27 sectors, and somehow caused 3 ancient species to discover cryptocurrency. The galaxy would never be the same. And somewhere, in a dark corner of space, a single Valdari warrior who had survived their empire's collapse watched in horror as their own offspring started a YouTube channel dedicated to reaction videos to human reaction videos. The final transmission from their personal log read simply, "They've won, not with weapons, not with war, but with something far more powerful. They've made us cringe. And worse, they've made us like it." Their next log entry was a TikTok dance. We need to talk about the humans' latest weapon. The Galactic Council's emergency session opened with these ominous words from Supreme Commander Volthak, who had somehow acquired a hoodie with "like and subscribe" written in Galactic Standard. Is it worse than the TikTok incident? Asked one council member, still twitching occasionally from involuntary dance moves. Worse than the Reddit integration? Inquired another, whose species had spent 3 weeks arguing about whether a human-made item called a hot dog was technically a sandwich. Much worse, Volthak said, his tentacles nervously adjusting his newly acquired streaming setup. He'd started a channel called Reacting to Humans Reacting to Aliens Reacting to Humans, and it was, embarrassingly, doing quite well. They've introduced something called gaming culture to the galaxy. The council chamber erupted in chaos. Several members had already installed RGB lighting on their ceremonial robes. The hive mind of Sector 7 has become... Volthak checked his notes. What they call a Minecraft YouTuber. They've built a perfect replica of the entire galactic core in something called creative mode. They haven't processed a single collective thought in weeks that wasn't about crafting recipes. A holographic display showed the once fearsome hive mind, now sporting a custom-made gaming chair, screaming, "Let's go!" after finding diamonds. The Quantum Collective has discovered speedrunning, Volthak continued. They've been trying to break the universal record for stellar evolution. They managed to compress 14 billion years of cosmic development into 17 minutes through what they call RNG manipulation and frame-perfect inputs. But surely that violates several laws of physics, a council member protested. The humans call that a feature, not a bug. Volthak pulled up more footage. And don't get me started on what happened when they introduced the warrior clans to something called Among Us. The footage showed the most elite fighting force in the galaxy engaged in heated debate about who had been acting sus in the cargo bay. But the real crisis, Volthak's voice dropped to a whisper, is what happened when they showed the Kraxan Empire something called esports. The council collectively shuddered. The Kraxan Empire, once dedicated to military conquest, had converted all their warships into gaming lounges. Their feared dreadnoughts now hosted something called LAN parties. Their latest transmission to the council had been a partnership request for a Fortnite tournament. Their entire military budget, Volthak continued, has been redirected to something called gaming PCs and RGB everything. Their admiral... He paused, still unable to believe it. Their admiral is now a full-time Twitch streamer. The footage showed Admiral Zexlar, now wearing a neon headset and sitting in a chair that looked like it had been designed by a hyperactive nebula, screaming, "Pog Champion!" while playing something called League of Legends. "We've lost them," a council member whispered. "They've become... gamers." "It gets worse." Volthak pulled up another report. The humans have introduced something called VTubing to the galaxy. The crystalline consciousness of Rigel 7, beings of pure light and energy, are now using animated avatars to stream just chatting sessions. The footage showed a cute, animated crystal being with improbably large eyes doing something called a Zatsudan stream, while their chat spammed emotes. The atmospheric beings of Jupiter have started a gacha addiction, Volthak continued. They've spent their entire planetary defense budget on something called Genshin Impact. They keep muttering about pulling for waifus. "Can't we stop this?" someone asked desperately. "I'm afraid it's too late." Volthak gestured to his own setup, which now included a microphone that looked like it could communicate with elder gods. "I tried to investigate their gaming culture. For research purposes only, of course. Next thing I knew, I had something called a battle pass, and was worried about my KD ratio." The council chamber's lights suddenly shifted to rainbow RGB as someone's gaming moment activated. "But surely we can resist," a council member began, then stopped as their personal device pinged with a notification. "Your Steam Deck is ready for pickup." "The humans haven't just changed how we fight," Volthak said, absently adjusting his streaming overlay. "They've changed how we live. Last week, the hive mind of Beta Centauri postponed an invasion because they were in the middle of a raid. The Quantum Collective is trying to calculate the optimal build path for something called a support main. What do? The only thing we can do," Volthak sighed, reaching for his gaming mouse. "Get good." The council chamber fell silent except for the sound of mechanical keyboards and the occasional POG from converted species. Meanwhile, in human space, the Department of Galactic Cultural Integration added another successful operation to their records. Their method, as stated in the official report, showed them Stardew Valley. The rest took care of itself. The report was immediately turned into a speedrunning category, and somewhere in the vast expanse of space, the last unchanged species watched in horror as their youth began asking for gaming setups and talking about frame rates. Their final transmission, sent moments before they too succumbed to the RGB revolution, was simple. "If you can't beat them, queue up with them." The galaxy would never be the same. But at least now it had better frame rates and customizable RGB lighting. The end. Unless we reach 100K subscribers, then we'll do a face reveal. Post-credits scene. Supreme Commander Volthak's latest stream title. Reacting to humans, reacting to aliens, reacting to humans playing Minecraft. Gone wrong, emotional. First time, not clickbait. It got 10 million views in the first hour. The humans just watched, amused, as their most powerful weapon, the ability to make anything into entertainment, conquered the galaxy one subscription at a time. The real end, no cap furfron god.